It was a discovery that sent a shiver down the spine of a nation. A missing 19-year-old girl found inside a walk-in freezer at the Crowne Plaza Chicago O'Hare Hotel. The news broke in the early hours, and within moments the hotel was swarmed by police, emergency responders, and a growing crowd of onlookers, all desperate to understand what had happened within those walls. The freezer, unused and hidden in a deserted part of the hotel, became the final resting place for Kenneka Jenkins. It was a cold, industrial space, never meant to be entered by guests, and now it was the center of a tragedy that would grip the nation. Kenneka had gone to a party with friends expecting a night of fun, laughter, and celebration. The hotel was bustling with young people, music, and excitement. But as the night wore on, the atmosphere shifted, and what began as a joyful gathering slowly unraveled into confusion and fear. Her family, frantic with worry, pleaded with hotel staff and police for help, searching every corner and demanding answers. Hours passed with no sign of Kenneka, and hope began to fade as the search stretched into the early morning. The discovery of her body only deepened the mystery, turning a missing person case into a chilling enigma. The hotel was quickly cordoned off, and investigators began piecing together the final hours of Kenneka's life. Kenneka was found by a hotel worker after her mother's repeated pleas for a more thorough search. The worker's shock and horror were evident, and the news devastated everyone who had been holding out hope for a different outcome. The freezer was in an empty kitchen under renovation, an area guests had no reason to enter. It was isolated, with construction materials scattered about, making it even more unlikely for someone to stumble upon it by accident. How did she get there? Was she alone? Did someone lead her, or was it a tragic accident? These questions fueled a complex investigation, as detectives combed through security footage and interviewed witnesses. The news spread rapidly, igniting public shock and speculation. Social media exploded with theories, and the story dominated headlines as people everywhere tried to make sense of the tragedy. For many, the idea that a teenager could accidentally wander into a freezer and die seemed almost impossible. The circumstances were so unusual, so haunting, that disbelief and suspicion quickly took hold. The stage was set for a saga involving a grieving family, determined investigators, and a public desperate for answers. Candlelight vigils were held, and the community rallied around Kenneka's loved ones, demanding justice and transparency. The details were as perplexing as the tragedy itself, ensuring the case would haunt public consciousness for years. The search for truth had only just begun, and the world was watching, waiting for answers that seemed just out of reach. Kenneka Jenkins' final hours began like any other Friday night for a teenager, filled with excitement and anticipation. She was just 19, looking forward to a night out with friends, unaware that these would be the last moments of her life as she knew it. On September 8, 2017, Kenneka left her home in Chicago to attend a party at the Crowne Plaza Hotel in Rosemont with a close-knit group of friends. The hotel, a popular spot for gatherings, was bustling with activity that night. The party was crowded, with dozens of teenagers cycling in and out of the room. Social media videos captured Kenneka laughing, dancing, and enjoying herself, seemingly carefree and happy in the company of her peers. Around 1:30 a.m., as the night wound down, Kenneka and her friends decided it was time to leave. But in the rush, Kenneka realized she'd left her phone and car keys behind in the hotel room, prompting a brief moment of confusion. Her friends offered to go back and retrieve her belongings, leaving Kenneka waiting alone in the dimly lit hallway. It was a decision that would haunt them forever. When they returned just minutes later, Kenneka was nowhere to be found. Panic set in as they searched the hallways, calling out her name, but there was no sign of her. The friends searched frantically, checking stairwells, bathrooms, and the hotel lobby. As the hours ticked by, their worry grew. Eventually, at 4:30 a.m., they called Kenneka's mother, Teresa Martin, desperate for help. Teresa Martin rushed to the hotel in the early morning hours, pleading with hotel staff to review security footage and help find her daughter. But she was told she had to wait for police involvement, adding to her frustration and fear. Hours passed in agonizing uncertainty before an official search began. This delay would become a major point of contention for Kenneka's family and the public, who questioned whether more urgency could have made a difference. The hotel was vast, with countless corridors and rooms. The search stretched on, but there was still no sign of Kenneka, and hope began to fade as the hours dragged by. Nearly 24 hours after she was last seen, a hotel employee made a grim discovery. Kenneka's body was found inside a walk-in freezer in an unused kitchen area, a place no partygoer should have been able to access. The night that began with laughter and friendship ended in unimaginable tragedy, leaving her family and friends shattered and searching for answers. The timeline of Kenneka's disappearance was murky, filled with conflicting accounts, unanswered questions, and missed opportunities that would haunt everyone involved. For her family, the delay in searching was a devastating loss of precious time, a wound that would never fully heal. As the investigation began, the unanswered questions only multiplied, casting a long shadow over what really happened that night, and leaving a community desperate for the truth. With no witnesses to Kenneka's final moments, the search for answers became a race against time and uncertainty. Investigators turned to the hotel's surveillance cameras, hoping the cold, unblinking eyes of technology could reveal what no person had seen. Hours of painstakingly reviewed footage revealed Kenneka, clearly disoriented, stumbling alone through empty corridors and kitchens. Her movements slow and unsteady. She was seen navigating areas off-limits to guests, her path meandering into staff-only sections, her actions growing more erratic with each passing minute. The last footage, time-stamped at 3:32 a.m., showed her entering a deserted kitchen. Just out of the camera's view was the industrial freezer where she'd later be found. The camera's angle left crucial moments unseen, raising more questions than answers. No one else appeared with her. There was no evidence of a struggle, pursuit, or anyone else in the vicinity at that critical time. For investigators, this supported the theory of a tragic accident, an unfortunate series of events that led Kenneka to her fate. But the public and her family questioned the footage's completeness, suspecting blind spots, missing evidence, or even tampering. Online forums buzzed with theories, and every frame was scrutinized for hidden clues. Kenneka's mother insisted there should have been a camera over the freezer entrance, a claim police denied, further fueling her suspicions and frustration. This fueled suspicions of a cover-up and deepened the controversy, sparking protests and heated debates both inside and outside the hotel. The grainy, often unclear images became a battleground for competing narratives, with every shadow and movement dissected for meaning. The footage, meant to clarify, only intensified the mystery, leaving viewers with more doubts than certainty. The truth seemed to hide in the shadows between the frames, just out of reach, as if the answers were deliberately obscured. The case became a puzzle with pieces that never quite fit, leaving everyone searching for the missing links that could finally reveal what really happened that night. The state of Kenneka's body offered clues and more questions. Her clothes were disheveled, shoes off, which some saw as evidence of a struggle. Medical experts pointed to paradoxical undressing, a phenomenon in hypothermia victims. The autopsy found no signs of assault, just minor injuries consistent with her stumbling, and stomach lesions typical of hypothermia. Her blood alcohol level was 0.112%, well above the legal limit, explaining her disorientation. But another substance, topiramate, was found in her system, a drug her family said she wasn't prescribed. This raised suspicions her drink was spiked at the party. The combination of alcohol and topiramate can cause severe confusion and impaired memory. No other illicit drugs were found. The science pointed to a tragic accident, but the unprescribed drug remained a troubling detail. For many, it was a loose thread that kept the speculation alive. The official findings did little to quiet the doubts. After weeks of investigation, the Cook County medical examiner ruled Kenneka's death an accident caused by hypothermia. Alcohol and topiramate were significant contributing factors. The official narrative, Kenneka, impaired, became lost, wandered into the unused kitchen, and entered the freezer. The heavy door closed behind her, trapping her inside with no internal release. She succumbed to the cold, alone. Investigators found no evidence of foul play. The video showed no one else entering the kitchen. The ruling, however, did not satisfy the public or her family. They believed the investigation was rushed and key details overlooked. The official story closed the case, but not the controversy. Kenneka's mother, Teresa Martin, refused to accept the official story. She argued the hotel's slow response and failure to secure the freezer contributed to her daughter's death. The freezer was in an unsecured, unused area, with padlocks nearby that weren't used. Martin believed the hotel failed in its duty of care, creating a dangerous environment. She also questioned the integrity of the investigation, suspecting a cover-up. Her fight for accountability would soon move to the courtroom. In 2018, Teresa Martin filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the hotel, its security contractor, and the restaurant leasing the kitchen. The suit alleged negligence, failure to secure the freezer, inadequate search efforts, and delays in reviewing footage. The hotel denied wrongdoing, arguing Kenneka's own actions and intoxication were to blame. The legal battle dragged on for years, with both sides preparing for a lengthy trial. In July 2023, a settlement was reached for over $10 million. Teresa Martin received a significant portion, with the rest going to family and legal fees. The settlement was not an admission of guilt, but it brought a measure of accountability. For the family, it was a quiet end to a painful fight, though not the answers they sought. Despite the official ruling, public suspicion exploded online. Social media sleuths dissected every detail, fueling conspiracy theories and protests at the hotel. Some claimed to see evidence of foul play in party videos. Others spun elaborate plots involving Kenneka's friends or even organ harvesting. Protests kept the case in the spotlight, reflecting deep distrust of authorities. Theories, though unsupported by evidence, resonated with many who found the accident explanation unsatisfying. Kenneka's funeral drew 1,000 mourners, a testament to the case's impact. For many, she became a symbol of unanswered questions and institutional failure. Years later, the case is officially closed, but unease lingers. The central question remains: what was Kenneka thinking in her final moments? The footage shows where she went, but not why. The presence of topiramate in her system is still unexplained, fueling suspicions of foul play. The case stands as a cautionary tale about intoxication, institutional responsibility, and the power of social media. The official record tells one story, the public, another. Somewhere between the facts and the theories lies a truth that may never be known. Kenneka's lonely walk through those hotel halls remains a haunting mystery.